All right, and so from there, at this point in time, we get for now talk about this whole midterm census where don't create a little bit of halala in the country. A lot of Sierra Leoneans are talking about it, and so we set now so na Sherix, we think say we forget a panel of enlightened Sierra Leoneans that we will come together and talk about the midterm census itself and census generally na Sierra Leone. Now that we get for talk about Naya so today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, based on everything we know, you will now see say I get a panel of brothers we get for talk today about this very census. Waiting at the Census Act, waiting the Census Act talk about, and the 2015 census, the other censuses that will not take place, waiting at the general things that we need to know about census. Now that we get for talk about now. And so these are people that we already don't become familiar with, we are sabi them already. Not to other person, particularly what me talking about. I'm talking about one, we get with brother when Mr. Lansana Amara, who we can call Lance Amara. Of course, as you know, our senior analyst na Sherix, a day between of course, na picture that you see right now on the screen. Then we also get with brother Dr. Stephen Jusu. Of course, we know say in the more on the education side, but he has very serious interest in developments that really, or things that really happen at Sierra Leone. Then, of course, we get Mr. Ezekiel Samkin, when a general analyst will get na Sherix Naya. So instead, a lot about things that really happen at Sierra Leone. So now then, gentlemen, there also we get for talk to today about this midterm census. So now that we see Brother Lance Amara on the screen, let us start with Mr. Amara, by your own understanding, of course, we all know that we are just Sierra Leoneans there. We will not be talking on behalf of any political party. We will not be talking on behalf of government. We are just talking as Sierra Leoneans. But what is your understanding of what they say, therefore, counts people in a country, what they call census? What is your understanding of it?
Basically, the Census Act now part of we law. It obligate the country, any government in power, with a scheduled time, usually 10 years. Even the country where some of us live, under the normal process. But within that same Census Act, then called enough a portion of the law, we give the president the constitutional right for call for a census at any time for any given reason. Say natural disasters can happen, the after effect, they want to know the impact on the area. He could call a census. He can do them in whole or in portions. Because we don't get a lot of confusion where the politics in Sierra Leone, they conflict the two. Say, well, census will be every 10 years. In fact, that is true. But census can also be anytime with the president order them. In this case, a order them because it want plan and development agenda. And the World Bank will also inform we say the 2015 census being unreliable. And as we talk, we will get into areas where that unreliable census cause us grief from the MCC compact on vaccinations. When have been big embarrassment for the country. But again, census itself, it inside we law. Every 10 years we for count, see what's our population day. So we government the plan resources, go put resources for 400,000 people when 600,000 people did it. You will run into problems. Conversely, go put boku resources, outside plenty people not there, then you go get surpluses, you go get imbalance, with some side is suffer, with some side is swim and all the goodies where the country get for offer. So it's always good for let government know outside and people and they, outside for build new school, new police, new hospital, all of these things. The reasons then for census. We'll get development money, outside for send and go, outside for build new bridges, outside for concentrate more development money. All right, in a country
Right.
of
Lance, if I understand you very well, but I therefore bring Ezekiel inside. So, Lance, according to what you talk, census they take place in a country. who side they count all man, so government will know how many people that they live in the country, waiting at the demographic characteristics. And so now that's make plenty people that don't maintain say we for the get census every 10 years. But Ezekiel, you know what we look at the Census Act, as he say, we that 10 years they now not still inside the act at all. As he say, we can get census from time to time as the minister advised the president or as we get the order, the statutory order for doing that one day. What thing that you take on, what's the time frame for conduct census in the country?
This question take me to waiting we country actually is a law-abiding country. It's a country that is governed by the laws of the country, and the Bible of that is the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And out of the Constitution, we don't stem out various acts, whereas then they see necessary for the country in go on before, as then they see necessary for the development and the well-being of their citizens. Various acts we don't come out. We then acts then they by their nature, it allow or parliament they enact them for make it become a law. And when it become a law, it's enforceable, which means it for work. And one of those acts, now the act of census, when at 2002, we are going to make a quick reference to. Because that act day is spelled out clearly, and for make people that understand, we're not so experts in law, but we constitution so clear and simple in certain areas that even you, by just your civic education, knowledge about your country, you go able for understand what thing that exactly mean. And for make you get an act, we talk say, being an act to provide for the taking of census from time to time. And the president, as the head of the executive, that's the constitutional mandate. For now, like where my brother just explained, based on the outcomes, for example, in this case, census, based on the last census where they don't conduct, where they don't review them, where they don't see what have been the challenges or the lapses or the gap where exist, that president at that material time has the constitutional mandate and the right for make through the minister for make them go request census, for which parliament therefore be involved for make them go pass them, for make it go become and it go take effect. And in this case, now that happened. And perhaps people they need for know why president at this moment be seen necessary that yes, it fall within in mandate, it fall within constitutional mandate for demand that this thing be done. I talk about the gaps. And then gaps then the way they exist. It totally they go apart with the way they go on for do planning and distribution of resources. It go they apart with any development where they go on take now any side of the country, because from waiting then discover as gaps in population, gaps in the economic data of the country, gaps in all of these spheres where the statistics they take into consideration. If it happen, it's a disaster if that president want for really take to his civic responsibility for look at the welfare of the citizens in a fair manner for distribute the resources. So in this case, yes, there is a law will give the power to the president for undertake this exercise. And there is no specific time frame. We therefore make this clear because people then say, we don't accustomed to doing it 10 years, which is fine. But if the president, as per we law, they say as is seen from time to time, as they will see necessary. And one of the things where they necessitate them, now the flaws where they will see what happened from the last census, or how like other things that don't happen in between that, between the two primary censuses. For me, then will see how they will able to mitigate that one day before it become worse by the time they get to the second primary census. And
Right.
this clearly happened in the case of Sierra Leone.
Okay, so yeah, definitely, I agree with you on that. So, Dr. Stephen, I think so one of the things the way the opposition they bank on is that they are alleging for say certain processes you are not followed the way they for follow them for many to do census. Now, even though some of you know say in 2015 when they conduct that census, plenty things that we statistics Sierra Leone at that time not been follow. Even though the opposition at that time and the SLPP, they come up with their issues, but at the end of the day, the SLPP, they encourage their followers, they for go register, for go allow them for consent. So I want for make you go shed light on some of them processes that they because I already say this cartography. What is that? Let me find the any for understand from your perspective, Dr. Dusu.
Okay, so when I do, let we try to understand the processes then and what really can go into censuses there, where people in it. It's a lot of work that goes in there. And in 2015, like how Brother Lance and Mr. Sam King they talk on just now, there were a lot of challenges. We caused the president or the SLPP-led government for begin for do the midterm census today. Some of the challenges there, according to Statistics Sierra Leone, was coding localities, the settlements there, the towns, the villages, the ward, the section, the chiefdom, the district, the regional codings, then they were mismatched. All right. So then they create a whole lot of problems for enumerators then when they go in for do the census work proper. But when you do the counting, there's something they call cartography.
Mm-hmm.
Cartography is an exercise where they assign unique codes then to enumeration areas then. We side them then enumerators and they go for do the actual counting. So now, according to Statistics Sierra Leone, there was an error in that coding process where to the 2015 census do. Like 60% of error in coding areas. So people they know that's a whole lot of work. There is no credible document or data that will come out of that type of error. So the mandate falls on any government that is in place for correcting error there. So that was the reason. So cartography actually not just a process where cartographers and they use for map a particular section, a particular chiefdom, district, region, a ward, or a locality, with the actual reality of what the place is supposed to be at that point in time.
So Dr. Stephen, this is something where they're supposed to do first before they actually go and count the people then, or now after they don't count the people then, the total number of people that they get, now they inform as to how they go about to do that. Which one comes first?
Cartography informs the process of the census.
Okay.
Because if they do one and do the coding, it make the work easier for one, it make the work easier. Two, it make enumerators then process easy for them. Because and it make monitoring also for be very easy. For instance, people then they cry a lot about foul plays. If you don't know exactly which side an enumerator supposed to for day. All right. If proper cartography is not done, you will not be able to locate which side, let's say an enumerator in the northern province, somewhere in northern province is supposed to be. But with the proper cartography that is done, you'll be able to locate exactly which side that person it's a map.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the reason
It lay out the physical structure in an area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a roadmap, really.
So Lance, is this based on what Dr. Jusula explained to me? Is this a technical thing where statistics are need for take care of, or is it that important that a political party they want for user now as a reason why they don't for accept the result of the midterm census?
Well, they are. I think the part of the census we didn't even mention the technical aspect was an utterance from the World Bank. We didn't question some processes. But as far as using this technology, now the first of its kind we country to ever use, as you know, World Bank was very instrumental with the Kenyan government in getting these laptops to Sierra Leone. We then kind of program them to the country for map the entire nation as to show localities where people were. So this census is so far removed from 2015 and any other census before that because this one actually directed enumerators to say, go to that place, that house there exists, engage the people there and get the data into your system. It was done almost real time as they collected the data. In most instances, it was transmitted immediately to a main server. It wasn't like they are walking around with it losing stuff. Compared to a guy to walk out with a bunch of paper in hand, we heard about stories about a guy in Kono sitting in his hotel room just writing tough stuff down for days and days and days, they even step out. This was different. When you had this laptop, if you're not going to certain areas, and they don't say you're not good there. So you just can't come back and deceive the people where you work for. And there were even instances of attempted sabotage. What instead Sierra Leone do? They shut those machines off before the guys could do any damage. So this is a new technology where they use. I think it had been used in Kenya, and Sierra Leone probably don't become an expert. Where some of the enumerators then they may be used to probably help in future censuses elsewhere. Because they don't learn how the thing to work. You see, this was
Right. So what I'm hearing is that the cartography, let us assume say the theory cartography not be there. You know I'm not saying at based on which area it's more technical and again linked with technology. So I assume say
a higher
before
degree of
now,
accuracy as well.
right? What is it?
You get a higher degree of accuracy.
Okay, higher degree of accuracy. But this idea of cartography, they don't dey in censuses before now. Dr. Stephen, you going to shed light on that? They don't dey before now, before even technology came, so that people dey get to know which side house they dey, which side people they dey, whether they go count them, or people they just dey go ahead and do the counting based on their knowledge of the existence of certain communities, or how it did happen before. What can you tell us?
The cartography has existed for almost the same time where censuses they don't last.
Okay.
The point is Sierra Leone not being equipped enough for use that type of program there because of lack of resources or lack of the technology.
Yeah.
But like Mr. Lance said, this census is far more different than censuses beyond 2015 because they use a method where they make the data very credible because you see the information as it flows in, as it goes into the tablets or the laptops where they give the enumerators there. In lifetime, real reports are sent to Sierra Leone, so
Right.
that makes it very credible.
Okay. So, Sam King, Brother Sam King.
Yes.
So, when we look at the Census Act, one of the things we are seeing inside was the authority that is given to the enumerators that when they go any side, as long as they are employees of Statistics Sierra Leone, and this act under them, the employer, they produce identification cards, that they get authority for collect information from citizens of the country, and that any citizen wey dey withhold that information dey liable for pay fines. So when we dey see people that they reject, they tell the people that make dem not allow the census to take place, make dem not allow people that Statistics Sierra Leone for come to them. Were they in violation of the act? And did they even know that they were violating? What did you say about that?
To a large extent, I want to say the people where we've been see clearly involved in them things them, where at some point they don't serve as stakeholders, now with government, na saloon. I'm not going to call that ignorance. It's just a deliberate attempt. And I say this, opposition is not rebellion. But clearly, what we see in a salon is not really opposition, it's rebellion. And rebellion, they seek for disaster, they seek for destruction, and neither they do. Because for make you tell me, people were involved in political party activities, then they team up publicly, they tell the citizens that let them know, when they say the law of the country, don't make them clear, even for the one where they go as enumeration officer, who is covered by the law. The law also say, if he go do something we're not proper, and he come out, that person, if will be prosecuted, that person, it commit an offense, which is punishable by our law, fines and even imprisonment. At the time where they be make them 10 and they then lost and the monies were small where they be put there, but it shows that you have, I mean, their punishment to that is a crime. So for make we see and also you no more way than they go count. Where you said they refuse for make you give information, let alone you provide false information. All of this is captured in our law. And if we say we are patriotic citizens, we love this country called Sierra Leone, irrespective of which political stance you take. One of the fundamental civic responsibility you have now for obey, now for, and at that day, if you go now, chapter 3 of the Constitution, you have about 10 bullets where they tell you about the responsibility of a citizen. And at this I'm really happy if this issue of civic education commission come into play, because the people them where them politicians have been the rob of their right, need for know some of the civic responsibilities and rights where they get. And I will tell you, it's a clear offense. Everything where them people that they do, where they promote out in the name of opposition, which to me was just rebellion. It was nothing like opposition.
And to add to what my brother say, interesting for no say, the chief architect of that rebellion, former President Kuruma, within a couple of weeks, with the door arrest and some people spent time in jail through Christmas, then came out and said his only issue was the amount of consultations we didn't get with them, that the census was legal.
Okay. So he actually said that? He said that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
He said that.
Right.
After, because you know, say any communique will come on an APC office from Yansane without the leader of the party authorizing it. Yansane's memo was out, instructing their people not to participate.
Right.
And some people went off of people like Diana Konamani, that recalcitrance and show came on those instructions. She even cited her support for Yansane's communique. Well, for Kuruma, a couple of weeks on to say his only issue was the amount of consultations that did not occur. But instead said no say the census legal.
Okay.
Sylvia Blyden touched on that and said, here's your leader. This man make when I spend weekend in jail. Only for him to come out and say, him be no all along say the thing when Abdihala say illegal was in fact legal the whole time. Okay?
But you know, it is also a surprise, Lance, for make I see the former Secretary General of the APC, when you know, for the Yansane, they gathered these people and they talk to them as if that the worst crime don't ever commit in a country when they talk about this Mid-Term Census report. I mean, I hope you will not see that video. What do you think about that kind of message when they try to pass?
I think that part of their ongoing strategy for keep those people on the reservation, because for a very long time throughout their existence, they don't control the communications where they flow to those people. In essence, then they control their behavior as well. They see themselves losing that authority. Okay, so they are scared. They're scared because now more and more like programs like yours. Don't be shocked if you get to people where you will be shocked at what you would discuss now. Where in fact all along, now the wrong thing they been sabi no more. I mean, you saw those people sitting there, they tell like the church pew then they somebody holla hallelujah.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
I saw
was.
that video.
Telling them, you know,
I see that one. It was very
yes,
interesting. You
yes,
know,
Yes.
yeah. So, Dr. Jisu, let I bring it in. You know, it is so pathetic that in Sierra Leone we would even talk about stuff like this. Me and APC, if the political parties like the APC, which are the main opposition, if we understand the value of this census will take place, instead of telling people for say una no go vote, I mean una no allow people dem for come to now, they could instead do the opposite by actually encouraging people to go to their localities and get counted, because when you are counted, that will increase the numbers. So at the end of the day, what do you think Sierra Leoneans they need? Do we need education on them kind of sensitive issues there? You know, what do you think about that?
We need a lot of education, not only at government level, civil society level. We need people then for uh, media houses for me then help in uh, giving talks on sensitizing people on the need for importance of uh, censuses, because a lot of groups in a lot of stakeholders were in the census, participating on the census process. you know all of these stakeholders, we are a vehicle in one point or another for help citizens then for understand say census very important in every country. All right. Because I was made to understand uh, National Action for Civic Education and Development, they did their own part. Institute of Government Reforms, then did their own part. And the national media, they all do their own part then for. But what happened was, in as much as them people then do what they be supposed to do, there were the opposition who we are telling people otherwise. So the information flow was where we go in certain parts of the country was counterproductive. So you find out say where some people they understand the process that censuses are very important in community development in the people's lives. The other people they feel say, oh, these censuses are being used for voting purposes. In all of the constitution, and when you look there, you will not see where it will say censuses are for voting purposes. No, they are for economic development.
yeah,
They are
yeah.
not for what they think it is for.
So,
So
in your own opinion, why do you think a political party in any country will use the event or the activity for political gain? You know, like where APC dey try for portray and say they dey conduct census because the number go pass to your number, because this is the exact statement wey I hear from Fode Ansane, the number go pass to your number. They say the your number go up, then your own can down. Why would they politicize a sensitive data like that?
well, this is what we are here for. This is the reason. Census is not for any political or voting reasons. In fact, uh, census, people for understanding are the backbone of national statistics system. What does that do for us? The importance of the census cannot be overestimated in any form. You know, Population census is used for planning activities, were meaningful for development plannings, inside a country. And if people then fail for understanding, that's why uh, censuses are conducted. Then the other reasons where APC or the cronies or the opposition party they pass and move around and they just try for entice what people then because they're not getting nothing for talk. Because if you get something for talk, what you would have told the people was what is the reason why the censuses are done, and not to say censuses are for increasing numbers or reducing number. No, they are there to verify numbers. They
Right.
are there to verify how much people we have in Makini, how much people we have in Kenima, or how many people are there in the western area. And the reason why the numbers then drop because of the negative campaign where they give the people then.
Yeah.
Right. So, Mr. Sankin,
I was part of.
Yes.
yeah.
There's also historical perspective. Great analysis by Stats Sierra Leone. Okay, detailed as to which the outflow of citizens from certain parts of Sierra Leone, a more prevalent from the northern region into other areas. Specifically, they relocate, they migrate to the south and southeast of the country.
Right.
They also migrate to Freetown. That is, this was after the 2015 census.
Yeah.
Okay, that information is available to APC. APC is aware, and just to tag along my brother's response, I think the whole idea of scaring people about this census was, in my opinion, they were afraid of their shadow. They knew what they had done in 2015. Okay, our members of parliament were raising the white flag, yelling that, listen, our people ain't getting counted. They haven't seen enumerators. The lead enumerator in Kenema was recalled because he was too detailed. They sent somebody that accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. Okay, you don't get the two largest chiefdoms in Kenema lose people between 2005 and 2015. Lower Bambara and Nongoa, they held steady.
Right.
That is just not possible.
So, Brother Sam, so Brother Sam King,
Yes.
you know, Brother Lanston talked about something very interesting, the 2015 population and housing census. You know, we happen to get this data on Statistics Sierra Leone at that time, and the kind appointments that we make, you know, now the offices, the various offices, that they operate, the district management team, that kind of thing.
Yes.
We actually able to realize to say they are completely against the requirements of the office sets, and that most of the positions that the people that hold was clearly aligned with the political affiliations.
Yes.
So I want to let you talk to the viewers then about this problem of census issues arising or erupting in Sierra Leone when we actually start. I'm not saying at 2015, but looking at some of the things that will happen at that time.
Like I just say initially, opposition is not rebellion.
Yeah.
These problems, when they talk about, of course, nearly after every census, there could always be issues, or during that, people then can, opposition parties can come out with, you know, few points or stance. But what happened in 2015 were completely different from what they happen now. That clearly shows how responsible the opposition at that time was, and how they consider themselves as a government in waiting. Because the government in waiting, you don't want for destroy your country. You don't want for destroy your people. You want for help for analyze the situation, for let people they see. Then you obey the government with it. You respect the law. Now that clearly will happen during 2015. SLPP, when I've been the opposition, been raised up a number of issues. They be catalog a number of issues when they take to parliament.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing what I want to make you know, which is completely the difference or the opposite on this time from 2018 to now, when they talk about opposition. The SLPP be more strong for advocate on behalf of the people and for policies. Now the well of parliament. Now yonder there be no say their strength lie. So all of them, they're not the commodity, they come for incite the ordinary people, where then they protect. Then they go argue who side the people they don't send them. So then they catalog a host of issues. But since the government we had was a legitimate and democratically elected government, then just put them points, and even when government ignore, then go ahead for tell them people say, we not obey. This is a national exercise, which is very important for all of us. So please, irrespective of whatever we think, we now go ahead and register and cooperate and comply with the laws, comply with government. They were aggrieved. They had issues with the government then, but they did not take it over and beyond the interest of the country and the people.
Right.
So the people go peaceful.
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, it been go peaceful. Unlike now, and even after the census, waiting the SLPP do, they still continue for engage because now they've been get people, the host of technical experts them among themselves. We've been really analyze the entire data we can, the result.
So this brings the question up. Like when Diana Konomani then, when are people that we don't serve in government as ministers, then are key functionaries in the APC. I don't know if they don't ever read the Census Act, but say when you refuse for gets counted, or when you incite people to say you are not good for men and consumer, you are actually in violation of the act as a citizen of the country. Do you think they are ignorant of these things, or they just not care about the laws of the country?
Look, there's nothing like ignorance in that case. I mean, don't talk about this once. It's a deliberate act.
There's no way she could be ignorant.
There is no way she could be ignorant, and all others, including Yansane, we've been pulled out a press release that let people they not participate at all. We not see where along the way the former president he come up behind them. He make them not say, well, this thing, I mean, they make no more, but it's illegal. So if there's no way you go say it's ignorant, now just a deliberate, I mean, they just not get respect for the law of Salon. That is clear.
And so what are they trying to achieve at the end of the day? What do they think Statistics Sierra Leone is going to do? What do they think the government of President Lee is going to do with regards to their actions?
Well, I think, first of all, to go back to your question, this recalcitrance we see, we never see it in level in our country history, the defiance. Okay, these are people who will come out defiantly in the media, then go secretly and go comply. Like we found out most of them did. They were counted. While in fact, they tell them people still let them all participate. Okay? They just hell-bent on undermining the government and creating chaos in the country. They want to create a scene where confrontation go between government and citizen, we then go add to them portfolio of videos for blackmail government. But thank goodness we have a very, very, very responsible government headed by President BOA. I mean, look at all the provocative gestures they've been confronted by. Okay, and sometimes now we, the populace, we, the people of Sierra Leone, not necessarily SLPP, they get impatient with the president and threshold of patience with these people.
Yeah.
Okay, we have been as citizens because we all want decorum in our country. We don't want people going out and cutting transformers, and this again goes into that mindset where people that want to agitate government. That's all they've been doing. They knew they were wrong, but they were doing it. You see?
So Dr. Dusu, one of the things really funny about this whole thing is that if like somebody don't do something in 2015 and not say ever in the history, I don't know, you get more education on this, ever in the history of Sierra Leone, there have not been a case where they don't do census and they don't say more people live in the northern province than the the southeast. But the 2015 census, now that's exactly they do. So now that you don't can correct some of these things, and the APC, they look at and say, oh no, the number go up, let it go down. Was it about numbers going up and numbers coming down, or it was a genuine effort for correct the anomalies so that we will get the correct count of people in our country?
Well, so the recalcitrant of APC is partly due to this. The number one Statistics Sierra Leone correct their anomalies then, their errors then, or maybe people then get understand what happened really in 2015 census. Now where they don't redo this midterm census, they don't throw out a lot of information to the public as to what really happened.
Yeah.
You know, for correcting errors, then we and this is the reason why World Bank in the first place agree on the or approving the proposal, because when the errors were put across, they review them, they find and say it was credible to have to do a midterm census because there was a lot of errors will occur. So it is not about inflating numbers in one spot or decreasing number in another spot. It's about making sure that accuracy is in the report that is provided to international community or to the country as a whole.
That was the reason. I even understand, say, Statistics Sierra Leone give the country a lot of options. They do the first one, people are not compliant, then they give extension, then they went to another, they give a lot of time.
And they give them 14 days.
Right. You know,
comply.
So I don't understand what we are trying to achieve.
And the idea is an error. To me, error is something we inadvertently somebody do out of sheer ignorance, okay, or being just sloppy in doing something. All right, but this seemed deliberate to accomplish a specific goal. And going back, Ibrahim, no, their numbers were not the regional numbers were not more than the Southeast. Southeast still had 3 million people. Why they had 2.5 million?
Right. In the 2015.
Yes.
Okay.
But here's what's even more interesting. Look at the population growth between 1985, when I've been with last census, before that, to 2005, because they not do one in 1995 or 96 because of the situation of the country. So it took 20 years to do one. That population only grew by 1.4 million people in 20 years. So give and take year in, year out, every 10 years in between, you're talking about maybe 6.5 million one year, and then maybe, another whatever, 7 million the next, or 7.5 million the next, right? The next 10 years. And then you take from 2005 to 2015, the population grew by 2.5 million. In 10 years versus 20 years will grow by 1.4 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
If you did cheat self, me man, let it make some sense.
Right. Definitely.
You cannot grow more in 20 years, in 10 years, than you did in 20 years.
So that completely went against the trend.
And there's something very important we not be done touch on, and it's very, very critical to the reason why this census happened. When the statistics Australia therefore discover the anomalies, they not only this is what a responsible government does. They say, okay, well, what if we don't discover this kind of thing? We not check back who are the experts involved in this process.
There you go.
So they allow for make them contact in fact, UNFPA was highly involved in this. They were the ones that even funded for make the expert come back in a saloon for can take a look at the aftermath, the results.
Yes.
Where statistics don't analyze, which is the first that will come out. Instead, but you don't do an action like that one day. Nearly 60%, 59% come out clearly say this. No, instead instruct and advise. It say let them go back to the field.
Yeah. Say unreliable.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is the expert's advice. This is the expert who work with the 2015 census team.
Yep.
So the government of the SLPP say, no, you know what? We cannot just do this. It can be viewed as a political something. We not involve the expert. Let can tell you what they do, how it's young. What we don't find out. Instead, look at it and say yes. Because one, like when my brother been talking about that data coding system, the data, apart from the coding problem, what did they been do? They want them way being collect the data. Not to them be the enterer. Then send them at the headquarters, and they get different people for enter those data. In this case, right in real time, the data collector now they provide the statistics and send them straight to the mainstream server. And another thing, when they discover, my brother, it will interest you because they get this type 1, type 2, type 3 enumeration areas.
Yes.
The type 3 being heavily flawed. In that case, if they go, for example, what did they determine for be an elimination area for by statistics standard for Salone? Now, anywhere from 80 to 120 households. So that makes an elimination area. So at that time, what did they do 2015? It was a collection of villages. For example, if they go now one village, outside the people they not reach like up to 120 or 80, then they blend 3, 4, 5 villages for make an elimination area. And now, waiting they not being able to determine, even that village will not reach elimination area, at least it gets certain amount. Let's say we get 55 households. The other one get 45 households. That statistics where they been do, that census, it not be able to capture that information at all. They be just provide a block statistics for that elimination area. Now, when they come for breakdown down, village A, what's not be the number of people where they did, number of households where they did, they're not able to determine them.
No.
So
Yeah,
that
because
was
it was wrongly coded.
Yes, that was a huge blunder when the experts can't say, oh, then we need to do this separately.
They had villages with populations that were laughable when you compare the amount of houses that the system showed. They had villages showing 100 people living in a house per house.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay, this is how reckless they were.
So in this case now, even if you go to village A with this technology, with this particular one, with this one, the way they don't do, if you go to village A, even if you say the people they not reach 80, trust me, you have to have that data fixed into the system. So they know that village A has 65 households, it has 100 households, something like that. That is the huge difference with the one and this. And this now expert advice now say, no, there's a need to go back to the field. So that is one of the reasons that necessitated this action.
So Dr. Dusu, coming to the end of this discussion, with waiting don't happen as a result of the response to this midterm census report, it don't shed light on the need for Sierra Leone as a country for us to do a lot of civic education on some of the important things that will happen in our country. Yeah. So, as somebody who are there in education, what will be your advice, not only to the opposition, but to everybody in the country with regards to when important national events that happen in the country, how we pay attention?
With respect to the census of itself, I think say people then for sensitize communities then on the importance of census. People don't really know why censuses are done, because what people we are just telling them is census is for election purposes. No, we need to let people know what is the importance of census in a country. Number one, census it enhance government and plan for economic and social development. You get to tell people then this upfront and say this what they do. What they do for me we able for know how much money we go give now for this particular economic development or this particular social program we wanna get. Because if we don't know a number, then we're not going to be able give estimate what funds you really need. So that's one purpose. You have to let people know. Number two, you get for tell and say they help communities then get a fair share of the national cake, whether for school, for hospital, for road, for public works. The fund whether government they supply or they allocate for then area, then government go able for allocate appropriately as per your share of population now the whole now that particular community day. These funds are based on population totals and breakdown by sex, by age, by other factors. And they make the government know exactly how many working people are in one particular area. So these are the purposes why censuses are done, not only for what the opposition is saying that it's to raise numbers for voting purposes. Why do we have NCRA? They are the ones responsible for counting people and for voting purposes.
Creating a register of people.
Yeah, and then they register people there
or whatever. Yeah.
All right. So they have to tell people that. Additionally, they need to tell people then, say, would they do this for more know the population trend? Last year, now will be, let's say, now will be 5 million. We want to know how much money we need for raise to meet up with population bracket in the next year. So this is why censuses are done like every 10 years. I mean, it's not statutory that it should be done by 10 years. If there were errors in this particular midterm census, in 2025, there's going to be another census. We can correct whatever error anomaly that they have in this 2021 midterm census, what they don't do. All right. So you need to tell people then all these reasons. The education is very important. Also, you need to tell people then say, would they do the census for provide data? We're critical for policy and planning decision making across all levels of government, business, academia, and societies. You know, would they do all that thing for them reason then they?
Right.
People need to know about this.
The Lance, waiting at your message to brothers and sisters residents in Sierra Leone or any Sierra Leonean so far, be they opposition or whatever, with regards to any kind of arrangement that we don't do in the past, if we don't kind of be open now, how can we move forward? That whatever plans that we get in order work, that we need to move forward as a nation, as far as census is concerned.
Yeah. And me will start with the ones that were in the habit of saying, well, SLPP must have done this because now revenge. Maybe them if I just ignore them and move on. You cannot get any human being safe, forever get time accustomed to just doing bad because it don't predict you say, well, you can that bad way do, the correct time. It will continue for doing. Okay? Right. And I apply that to we government. Anytime we other government can elect now after this, do not go in the direction of doing wrong. Do things the way they should be done. Right. Don't rely on the fact, say people of goodwill will come out and say, hey, when I left them, when they don't do them, let it go. No, we cannot allow bad behavior to stand in our personal life or our governance system. Because when somebody manipulates census, they are doing a lot of things. They are disenfranchising people.
Yeah.
They are denying people their rights to proper representation. Yeah. Imagine you are from constituency 0119 and 020 in Kenema, Nyuma and Kaisamba. How long it will take in a year for see all your constituents and we want to see you? Versus if you were Mohamed Bangura from Karine. Okay? Right. You can, if you choose for, you will see all your constituents then probably every 2 months. Because there's so little few of them. Okay? We have people in parliament representing or who won by 3,000 votes or have 3,500 votes. Right. Or you have monsters in Kenema, 25, 30,000 people voted for them to get to parliament. Okay, when you do that, you are disenfranchising a whole host of people. Maybe Kenema deserve more representation in the parliament so that they can be more effectively engaged with their elected parliamentarians.
Yeah,
you see, now the people need to stop doing the wrong thing, and those who can come and try to excuse that bad behavior. Oh, this tit for tat. It's not tit for tat. Correcting some two-way wrong will affect other people and lives going forward. Not to tit for tat.
Right. No. So, Brother Sam King, Brother Sam King, so, Akilepo always bring historical perspective to the kind of discussions they are, maybe as a way of ending the conversation today. But if the APC, as a political party, if we check back history, most of the actions that we are engaging don't always plunge this country into catastrophe, into mayhem, into problems. I mean, if you ask for example, wait to make a start one as Sierra Leone, a blamer on the APC because they say that they corrupt, now they don't want the benefit from the mineral wealth and stuff like that. And then after that, we don't go into that world we don't done, we don't come back, we don't start good government, all man don't get peace and calm, and we try to forge ahead, other things that happen like diseases, natural disasters. So why do you think APC for not even interfere or mess with that 2015 census, for them to just start something? Because this mid-term census was to be the problem start. Now, because of the problems created by the 2015 population and housing census, now we can even talk about this today because this is being corrected. So, what would be your message to the APC as to why they want to let the name go down again, as trying again to plunge this country into another catastrophe?
You know, from history, but it's just sad that on the 25th of May last month, I mean, it been come out as a national disgrace. For sure, say Salone, we're so shallow-minded that we not ever value with history. I don't know if you've been listening to that BBC publication where Umar Fofana conduct.
Yes, yes.
All institutions,
Well, the dates of
nobody
important
can tell you what happened. That was a disgrace. So, but that same day, good thing happened. The president and his cabinet been take a move for make them go draft a bill for let them go put in place what they call a National Council for Civic Education and Development. And I am sure that thing will take effect. And if they push onto Parliament, and that have been the talk, for when they push onto Parliament, for make Parliament act very fast, for make them pass that bill into a law. And one of the things where we were able to do for adventure in future, if government change hands, because one of the disasters we don't before Salone are this. Like currently, as we talk, the SLPP, they try for streamline all them things we don't go bad. It will do all of that within this time. It will exhaust all in time fixing those bad. But again, what happens when government change hands? So I don't even they look at on the side of civic education. For make we serve as the civil citizens, like what will they do so? Is it possible that we go act? Is it too much to act that we parliamentarians then make certain laws them? Like for example, if you take the education, for example, let them agree on a certain education policy in that country, or the education system in that country, and they make them into a statutory law, and they make them into an entrenched law, kind of. An entrenched law where they say any party will come, you know, go pull them, or you know, go decide, say, I'm not going to work with her. That then I don't have Bob in that country, and all the way that they happen, now resources then they waste.
Yeah, back and forth. Back and forth.
Point number two, like all this what they talk to, then changes, then problems them, where we don't see in this census of 2015, where the current administration they take care of now. We don't see the backlash from where they try for talk about this activity to now. I want for make government really pay attention to this. As they try for fix all them problems, let them make sure that the act of parliament we get for make for let, for example, the use of this technology now, for make sure that nobody no mess with the population of that country. Like what is sad, it's so ridiculous that you have an MP where they just look after 500 people, and you have an MP where get over 3,000 or 3 million people for look after.
Right.
It's so disingenuous.
Yep.
So I just believe that as a country of laws, in as much as government don't try for, or they try for put the civic education for both in and out of school population of that country, for teach them which are their civic rights and responsibilities. In addition to that, certain laws them where they know say it hinge on the livelihood and the welfare of citizens. Let them
because we not to
can't just erode and
not to everything for politicize, of course. I agree with you guys. I will not spend 1 hour on this discussion. So in case anybody will get a last word for say, let me talk quickly and then we'll close the book.
Just to add on to me, two brothers there about doing things right. We're not even talk about. I think you touched on the cost. Right. Imagine the money where this government don't spend for correct things that were deliberately done wrong for benefit
Right.
Give somebody electoral advantage, give them advantage in a parliament. Look at what's in the gerrymandering produce. A political party gets 42% of the total votes in the country, ends up with 56% of the seats in parliament.
Right.
They also continue for use and for convincing people and say, you see, they don't cheat we. Now we win. Look, we win more seats. But you see how we win more seats that we lost the presidency.
Yeah.
Knowing the whole time that they had created 20 parliamentary seats, all of which they won, that resulted in that. And some of those seats were won with 3,000, 3,500 votes. While as opposition strongholds, people were winning with 19,000, 20,000, 25,000 votes.
Yeah.
Okay? Just by doing the wrong thing.
Right.
It's costing us. We are going to be doing another census in 3 years. Another cost to something where that money be forgo to us for help.
Yeah. Because we are trying to correct something. Yeah.
This opposition now party, this APC, they don't cost that country so much in so many ways, in terms of resources. Of course, we don't go to the human life, okay, and bloodshed, but just resources where they don't waste because they don't want to do anything right.
Yeah. So, Dr. Gisu, you get any,
census.
right? Dr. Gisu, you get any last word you want to add?
My last word to say here is so what happens when people or some region or group of people refuse to participate in the PHC, population housing census? What think can happen? It is, because it will be ignorant on the part of anybody for misinformed citizens then on the need not for participate inside the civic responsibility, so that the government will get democratic information we need solidly needed for conduct things then, social programs then or economic programs then inside the country. That would be disingenuous for anybody for men to do that. So any government with a media advice say, please give people the right information. Tell them counting you is to your benefit. Not tell them say, oh, not agreement they count you. If they agreement they count you, then they beat we by the voting. No, that is not a good thing to do. Because that means those who refuse would not have a say in decision making and action, and then they affect their communities then.
Yeah.
You know they tell them that though. You just tell them say not go vote. You not tell them say when you not go vote, again for affect your community. They didn't do that. Why they didn't tell the people again? They say, if you not contribute, again a big influence in your own decision making process in in national development. They didn't tell the people that. So we want anybody where they inform people then about things, may they inform people in the right way. Give people then the right information. If there is a census event, tell people to participate in the census, because that is the only way you are going to be able to develop your communities, your schools.
Right.
Except if you want something else. But that's how things happen. Tell the people then say, you will lose on to promote sustenance in your community. If you don't agree, may they count you.
And so finally, Brother Ezekiel Sam King, we will say when you are in opposition, you are not the government. And you cannot tell government how government will operate. Am I right?
You are perfectly right. In that case, you as opposition, you are more or less, as long as you have representation in parliament. Not forget all they talk about government. Now all them three arms them they.
Right.
So if you have members in the parliament, then that makes you automatically a part and parcel of that government. So now that make I start by saying opposition is not rebellion. Shouldn't be about rebellion. It's about constructive engagement for make you prove your case. So they just try, in this case, as a closing remark, I want to appeal to civil society groups, because what we see, what we understand them supposed to be, they're supposed to be the mouthpiece of the people, the ordinary people. They're supposed for they between the politicians, the government, and the state, so that then we're able to talk for the people. And this all happened in their phases, where politicians made the talk for rob the people of their civic rights and responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And this to me is so sad. And yet we say we have all these groups. Me appeal now that let them take to their civic responsibility and work towards the good of this country, where we all don't decide for call, or where we don't get from independence. Now that independence due to we. It give we that when they knock that you chest, I mean as Sierra Leonean, it means yes, I'm able now for decide. I'm able now for take care of this country. I'm able now for take care of myself. So that responsibility and that right way we don't come with the authority. We come with that where we get as citizens. You go only able enjoy that if you become a patriotic citizen. That is somebody will let in country. Yeah. So please, civil societies, do your best for save the citizens from the wrath of these politicians. We see what don't happen now. Everybody they complain about population sizes in different areas. Now so you have been there, you know they now so. But you've been there, you they listen where politicians they tell people for go sit down, go inside the house, or let them not even allow for let them.
I don't know why they don't factor that one into all of this argument. They don't factor that, but now we tell them no get counted. So but anyway, there's something I want to say plenty things to know. And there is one thing that you need to know. For Shaka Stevie, when they go for that independence talk, it goes back to London because not be able to participate, inside the meeting because I already booked my day. So it vex come back. So in fact, they're not going to follow independence take place so that they don't accept why should they get independence. So I feel say that trend in any still continue. But I want to say plenty take it to Laol. Dr. Sinijusu, of course, Benelan Sama, and Mr. Ezekiel Sampi. I want to tell you that plenty thank you for that time. Of course, this is an unending discussion. We're going to get them. So we will try to get some of the lawmakers then for many color talk to them, and then we will analyze them more later on. So once more, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.